what's up guys? I'm Jillian Rogue and I have 5 more weird AF cults for you guys today, and honestly the last one that I talk about is probably my all-time favorite cult that I have ever talked about. So try to stay tuned to the end and let's get started. Claude Virilin or Virilhan, or however you say his name, was a race car and music enthusiast, but after he was visited by aliens, he started Realism and changed his name to Rail. Now, the foundation of Realism is basically that humanity is simply an alien experiment. He claims that in France in 1973, he was visited by an extraterrestrial creature named Yahweh. Now, according to Yahweh, the entire human race is simply an extraterrestrial experiment done by the alien race known as Ilahun, or however the you say it. They mated with human women in order to create prophets such as Jesus, Buddha, and Muhammad, who were all half alien. However, during the time of these prophets, humans were too primitive to understand their message, so now, according to Rail, it is his job to get the message across. The goal of Realism is to improve humanity to the point where that alien race can visit. And when that happens, they believe that a new world will be created with no hunger and no suffering. He believes that in order to do this, humans must first perfect the art of cloning and also transferring a human's consciousness to another body when they die. This way, when the aliens come, they can decide who gets a new body and who doesn't. Now, Rail also plans on perfecting society with worldwide democracy where only smart people can vote. And like, honestly, I would be behind that, but my question is, who decides who's smart? They even do baptisms, and it's estimated that there is something like 85,000 people that belong to the religion/cult, and that it is still growing. Also known as the True Way cult, Chen Tao was founded in 1993 by Chen Hung, a professor in sociology. He founded the religion on Buddhism, Christianity, and UFOlogy. He preached that the world was controlled by evil spirits and that he was a prophet who knew the true road to salvation. He convinced his followers to give him money in order to board spaceships that were disguised as clouds, and also had them move all over the US in order to wait for God's coming. For example, in 1997, he had his followers move to Garland, Texas, simply because he thought Garland sounded like God's land. The cult is most known for Chen's prediction that God would reveal himself on national TV regardless of whether or not you had cable on March 25th, 1998. Now, of course, this never happened, and unfortunately, Chen lost most of his followers after this incident. George King was raised in a family with occult inclinations and a psychic mother. Now, he was huge on yoga and meditation and would practice for up to 12 hours a day in order to become closer with extraterrestrials and their knowledge. Finally, one day in his London apartment, he heard a voice that called itself Master Aetherius, and it said, "Prepare yourself, you are to become the voice of interplanetary parliament." A few days later, he claims that another yoga master appeared to him by walking through his locked door and taught him exercises to bring him closer to the cosmic masters so that he could become the primary terrestrial mental channel. The cosmic masters were apparently a group of spiritual beings from other planes on other planets that only King could speak with. According to this religion, Jesus, Buddha, and Muhammad are all alive and live on Venus and are all a part of the cosmic masters. King formed the Aetherius Society based off his extraterrestrial experiences and the knowledge that was given to him by the cosmic masters. According to King, the focus of his cult is to improve humankind and to hopefully develop mankind's spirituality before it's too late. Now, the cult had three main operations. The first operation is called Operation Starlight, and King says this occurred in 1958 when he was commanded to climb 18 peaks and to charge each peak with his own spiritual energy using yoga. This took him 3 years to complete. The next operation was called Operation Sunbeam. For this mission, the energy that King put into the 18 mountains was supposed to be shielded from Mother Earth so that they could use it. So King created a battery to store this energy in and to release in times of global trouble. The last operation was known as Operation Prayer Power, also called Love in Action. For this, King created a prayer battery that hundreds of people charged weekly using powerful prayers and mantras. This collective energy was supposed to solve all the illness and suffering in the world. George King died in 1997, but his cult lives on and is often seen offering proof that George King was actually what he claimed to be, using predictions that he supposedly made that have come true. They shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. In 1910, a Church of God preacher named George Went Hensley in Tennessee began preaching very literal interpretations of this and other similar verses. To prove their faith, him and his followers began the practice of handling snakes. Within the next decade, the Church of God denounced this practice, so Hensley and his followers broke off and started their own group. Worship services included singing, praying, speaking in tongues, and preaching. The front of the church was reserved for their snake handling practice, and they often used rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, and copperheads, but sometimes even cobras. During the worship, believers would pick up snakes, raise them above their heads, and even allow them to crawl all over their own bodies. I could never, ever do that. Now, the snakes were believed to be demons, and their handling of them signified their power over them. Some believers would even go as far as to actually drink poison. Now, there were over 60 deaths as a result, mainly because most people who were bit did not seek medical help, but instead turned to God to cure them. Snake handling was then made a felony in 1941 after the unfortunate death of a 7-year-old. And now it's time for my favorite cult ever. Save the planet, kill yourself. That is the main mantra of the Church of Euthanasia. The Church of Euthanasia believes in restoring the balance between humans and other species on Earth, and that can only be done through a voluntary population reduction. Their only requirement or commandment is that thou shalt not procreate, and you must agree to this in order to join. They have 4 pillars or principles, and they're known as suicide, abortion, cannibalism, and sodomy. These pillars are their foundation for their ideas to control the population of humans while not diminishing other species. They say that suicide is optional but is definitely encouraged. They also say that cannibalism is only required for those who insist on eating flesh, and their website actually specifies that it must be already dead flesh. Finally, sodomy refers to any sexual act that does not lead to procreation. The church was founded in 1992 by Chris Corda, a software developer and DJ. Corda claims that one night she was confronted by an alien intelligence that called itself the Being, who spoke for the inhabitants of Earth in other dimensions. The Being warned that our planet's ecosystem is dying, but that leaders are denying it. Now, she came to the conclusion that the solution was human extinction and became a very aggressive, anti-humanist activist. At the 1992 Democratic Convention, she began handing out stickers and even placing them on police cars that read, "Save the planet, kill yourself." In 1994, the church was officially recognized in Delaware. She then began a journal called Snuff It and began preaching e-sermons. They then began picketing and advertising pro-suicide and pro-abortion, and even supplied a 900 number for suicide assistance. I pretty much just love them because of their whole movement on eat people, not animals. Because really, who gives a fuck about people? I just want to save animals. So, I'm sorry. Now, charges of manslaughter have been threatened against the church in lieu of suicides, but they never stuck. Many people have wondered if it's all just one big joke or if she's just trolling everyone, but to this day, Corda and her followers have never even suggested to it being a joke. Their website is still up and active today. Alright guys, well there you go for 5 more weird AF cults. To be honest, this is probably the last cult video I'll do for a while because I think I've covered a lot of them so far. But if there is any that you guys want to hear me talk about, or any like categories of cults you guys want to hear me talk about, let me know in the comments down below. Also, as always, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I try to upload as often as possible, and it would really mean so much to me if you did. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. And other than that, that's all I have for you guys today. So alright, all my little poop kings and queens, I will see you later.